Up for you next. Now, if you, like me, enjoy the drama, the height and the spectacle of the alliums in May and June, and they leave you craving something else to give you height and interest late on in the season, consider planting Agapanthus, or the lily of the Nile, with your roses. Now, these are really quite large, available in many different sizes. This particular one is a really large flowering bloom. You can see, in comparison to my hand there, the globe of flowers on top of this beautiful stem, something in the region of about 6 or 7 inches across, so really large and dramatic, but available in much smaller sizes. The Agapanthus group of families produce really large leathery strap or belt like leaves from a crown in the ground that arch back down to the floor. Fantastic for use in pots. They go really well around water, but I do plant Agapanthus all over the garden with my roses, because for this late splash of colour in August and September, nothing really adds more drama than the Agapanthus. They, like myself, are a little bit of a sun worshipper. They do like to receive 6, 7 and if you can 8 hours of sunlight per day, and they do like a very warm and free draining soil. So when you do plant them, make sure that you're adding lots of grit and lots of sand if you can to the hole, to make sure that the soil around the plant remains very well drained. Now, unlike most perennials, don't be tempted when you buy your Agapanthus and it will be all pot bound and probably really choked up tight in the pot. Don't be tempted to break that root ball up and start working and teasing those roots out. Now, I know you would do with a rose, you would do with any other cottage garden perennial plant, but with an Agapanthus, they actually flower much better if they're really tight in the pots. So either keep them planted in pots and plunge them into the ground where you want them to be, or actually don't tease the root ball out and leave them tight and bound up with their own roots when you plant them, and they will flower much better. That and planting them in a warm, free draining soil will encourage flowering. Feed them once a week with a dilute liquid feed during the summer, and they will reward you with these wonderful stems of beautiful, this one is obviously a very lovely pale blue with a lovely beautiful dark blue stripe to it, but Agapanthus available in white, dark purples, and now even into sort of plum reds are a fantastic genus of plants. They do need a little bit of winter protection, otherwise you can find they're flowering next year. If we've had a particularly cold and wet winter, they won't flower into the next season. What I do with mine is I cover mine with a little bit of straw just over the crown to keep the main part of the weather off of them, and that tends to work quite nicely here on the south coast of the UK. But the lily of the Nile, or Agapanthus, are a wonderful way of adding drama, height and contrast. To say, this lovely starburst of flowers combined with a very large sort of tight flower on a rose, I believe is really lovely. Contrasted well with something like Tranquility from David Austin Roses, I think this works really well. That lovely stark white with this beautiful pale and stripy blue, a fantastic contrast. So Agapanthus are planted all over the North Lodge cottage garden. It's something that I would suggest you do too. Do give them a little bit of a winter protection, and don't be afraid to cut these as well. You can see lovely long tall strong stems from these, making them ideal for bringing into the house in a floral arrangement if you are going to cut any of your late bloomers. And paired this beautiful colour with a soft pink or a pale yellow, for instance the Poet's Wife or Molyneux, a really lovely contrast as well. So Agapanthus are a firm favourite of mine.